regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 23rd day of September 2019 at 6:30 p.m. in the Trustees Room, second floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
Whereas members of this board present at this meeting have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees special meeting of August 19, 2019, and a regular meeting of August 26th. Now therefore be it resolved, this board approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Assak?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Mayor, excuse me, before we go into the workshop session, can I make a motion to enter an executive session?
No?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into an executive session to discuss the employment and promotion of a specific Village Hall employee, and 2, the appointment of a specific wastewater treatment plant employee.
I will second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Assak?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Sorry.
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll be back. For the rest. Okay, so resolutions, we have the Bejislai resignation after many years as a chief wastewater treatment plant operator. Unfortunately, she resigned. Then we have the Harvest Moon Cemetery Tour of 2019. The creation of position of personal assistant. To be a little bit more specific, this is a person who is going to handle most of the human resources responsibilities. And for now is being appointed, the person appointed is the person who does the payroll. Appointment of Michelle Kuyava to personnel assistant. Porter Avenue emergency wall repair amended resolution. Feeding Fredonia Challenge from Fredonia Presbyterian Church.
Mayor, I'd like to mention something about this, please.
Of course.
I think this should be as a proclamation rather than endorsement from the board. It's just my personal
There
opinion.
is a proclamation too.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then San Rayner appointment. Ms. Rayner, thanks for coming. The approval of abstracts 516 and 517. And the GPI proposal.
Jim, did we appropriate the money for this and already, the GPI proposal? Or is it not needed because it's at an hour basis, or
Well,
it says up to $5,000?
yeah, I think there's money in the budget that we could cover it.
Do we need to have a resolution to say up to $5,000 needed to be appropriated for this position?
Is that part of the resolution?
No. It's not, I just
No?
wondered.
It's up to $5,000.
Up to 5,000, yes. Yeah. And to clarify, if we don't need the services, or we won't pay anything, just in case, because we discussed that. You remember, right?
Jim, I got a question regarding the creation of this new position that we are going to be voting on this evening. Have we allocated or how we appropriated this funds for this new position? And is this part of the budget process?
Well, there's usually more money budgeted for our payroll than what we actually incur. I haven't really had a chance to look at it, but I was told the difference in the salary is not anything more than, I guess, $5,000. So, so I don't know, I haven't actually had a chance to look at it closely, but I don't think that would be a problem. And if we had to, we wouldn't have to do anything right now, but if we get to the point where we get close to, let's say in February or March, where we start to reach a point where we're close to what we budgeted, then we'd have to make a budget transfer.
Thank you.
And where would that come from?
Out of your fund balance, or you have a contingency. Or what I do is I look at the budget at that time, and if there's money that appears, I always look within the department
Right.
lines first. In many instances, there's money that hasn't been or doesn't look like it's gonna be spent. So my first choice would be to transfer it out of that departmental and put it in where it's needed. So,
Makes sense.
Okay, and then we go to Fredonia Justice Court audit proposals. And you have the proposals, and I would like you to choose which one. I have two proposals.
Jim, do you have any preference for either one?
it's not up to me. You have proposals that are both certainly more than well qualified.
Like I said,
To me, it gets down to numbers.
Okay,
The cheaper one, I mean, they're both local, they're both well qualified, so
okay. That's good, thank you.
They're both given the same guidelines, the same list of guidelines,
Yeah.
our requirements.
We're not voting on it tonight,
I don't want to, I don't want to show any favoritism because, you know,
No, I
they
just-
audit me.
No, absolutely, just if they're both equally qualified in your
They're both- yeah,
opinion,
they're both
and they
well
meet all the
qualified.
qualifications.
But the compensation required is different, though, and it's typical that the low bidder gets the award in municipal accounts.
I
But
understand
not
that.
necessary. But not
Yeah,
necessary.
that's the idea,
but
unless
yes.
there's something about the low bidder that you don't feel would meet the qualification to do the job. I mean, but these are certified public accountants. They have a track record, both of them. I mean, so.
They're both good agencies.
That would be on on our next meeting's resolutions then? Is it figured out?
Well, we were thinking of putting it today, correct? But we, do you have resolution?
Next one.
Okay, we have a blank resolution without the name. Because we discussed in the morning and you feel that we really should go through this, we should make a decision.
Well, it needs to be done. I mean, I got a
Yeah.
letter from the state. We haven't had an audit of the Justice Court since 2013. I'm surprised
Yeah,
they're that
quite a few
patient.
years, yes, correct.
So,
Well, my thought on that, trustee Barris, would be if they're both equally qualified to utilize the public's money most efficiently and effectively, we should go with the low bidder.
Yes.
Okay, if you're okay with that, I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah, they're both experienced.
Right.
We should go with the low bidder. I mean, it's,
Kara,
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Mr. Ritz?
I'm good with that also.
All right, so it's gonna be low bidder.
Mayor, under old business, if I could bring up one. The number of, seems though we have Nate's replacement
I'm
here.
sorry, I need to leave.
Under old business, I'd like to bring something else
Sure.
up.
That's what I thought.
yeah.
The projects, the grant projects that we have outstanding currently, if you could give us an update, or Nate's replacement as well, especially with the $2.5 million DRI grant, if you would, please.
Okay, yes, of course. The Barker Common is, well, we had a little setback because one of the employees of the cobbler left the firm, so Nate actually sent an email, correct, the other day to see where we are, and they're going to use the new budget as we decided to go forward and put together the bid papers, so we go out to bid,
Okay, well, that's interesting.
yes. So, well, we lost some time here because of that, what happened to Joy Cobbler. Anyways, and then the $2.5 million, as we said, 1.2 is going to streetscape downtown. We have one proposal for that. We put if you remember, the RFP out for proposals for architectural planning. We have one proposal by Joy Cobbler, but we needed to specify some things on her budget. So we sent back, Nate again made another attempt to talk to them, and we're expecting the new papers. For the Opera House, we have 5 proposals, correct? And if you want to update everybody, but I want to introduce Travis Gordon, who is going to be our new planner. And if you want to update to, because you went over the proposals for the Opera House, correct?
That's correct. Should I?
Yeah, please.
Nice to meet you, Travis.
Yeah. Hello. Some of you already know me. My name is Travis Gordon. And as the Mayor was just mentioning, I have reviewed, we've worked together to review the bids for the Opera House. We have 5 of them, and we've narrowed it down to several that we're attempting to have conversations with to discuss what kind of architectural details they're going to be working on. Some details on their MWBE requirements. Those are the minority women-owned businesses that they need to be including in their proposal in order to work with the funding from the state. And so we're hoping to secure that this month or next month to have a contractor down and move forward with the project.
So that's where we are with them.
The DRI grant, are you, the proposal, the original proposal, or is that still all the specifics in that original initiative proposal stand, or has things changed?
The DRI is still $1.2 million for the streetscape, $1.3 million for the Opera House.
But as far as the details of the proposal here, that I think we received a while back, are the specifics of that 1.2 million still the same?
A scope is not very specific, but there is a scope. The scope remains the same. If you remember the downtown, specifically the streetscape, some of this money is going to be used to finish the Barker Common, around Barker Common. So they join us about that, and then the rest to do the curbs, to do sidewalks, lights, as much as possible. Now, for the Opera House, what we included definitely is the marquee outside, the windows that needed to be changed or fixed. I think one door, the entrance hall, and the steps on that, the bathroom and the concession room. Now, my hope is that be able to go and do either some carpeting inside the Opera House or some seating. But apparently $1.3 million is not as much as I thought.
Can I ask you, when the Baptist church burnt and the clock tower burnt, we had gotten insurance money, and some of that was supposed to go towards the marquee, I believe? Is that still? Sorry?
Is it pigeonholed for the amount?
I don't know. We had discussed that, putting that money towards that.
Right.
I don't know whatever happened to that insurance money, whether
Do we ever collect on that, Jim?
For what?
The insurance money from the clock tower?
The clock
the
tower.
clock that burned.
No, it's in deposit, we deposited it, before I was here.
Okay, so it was not specified to go towards the marquee, I guess, okay. Okay, I just
I'm
wondered
not sure,
because,
but I think that might have been put into the capital fund, but I can check that.
okay, but I mean, there was some discussion
Right.
of when it happened, and I just didn't know if that was part of the.
That would be good
project.
because it can help. Marquee is usually very expensive, so it can help. But that's where we are. As with the infrastructure, the emergency water line project is almost completed, and the water filtration plant. We just had a conference call last week, and there are some more requirements from the health department, which are being met now. I had an email from O'Brien and Gear. They dealt with that, and they are about ready to send out the RFPs for proposals for construction. And the wastewater treatment plant, we are a little after that. We have you have already approved the two proposals. And we were trying to figure out all the new, some new parts of the same project, if you remember, and to send out, to start construction, actually.
Okay. Do you have any updates on the New York Main Street anchor project, Ted Sharon's project for his building?
We have applied. We asked for $625,000 to include 7 buildings, actually, right now. I don't believe that we will know before probably end of November, beginning of December, usually, when we find out about that.
I think we're talking about two different things here. Ted Sharon's was 450 already.
I was going to talk about that on my report.
Oh, okay.
I have
Okay.
a report for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I was speaking of that one there. Okay.
Okay. So let's go to new
I guess,
business.
If you don't mind, I have one other thing under old business.
Sure.
I just want to report that 26 baskets have been reordered and sent over to Yuriko's to be filled for our basket project. After 2 meetings, we finally got them ordered and sent over there. And I'd like to send a little kudos out to Jen over the DPW. She ended up negotiating a savings of $329. So I'd like to report that
very
as old
good.
business. And one other thing under old business, Jim, last time I requested some more information regarding the street light on Central Avenue. I sent you the information from National Grid requesting a check to be cut prior to the movement. I don't know if anyone had forwarded that information or cut the check yet.
We did.
Has it?
It has
Has
been.
National Grid been notified so that,
I believe they were paid, but I'd have to double check.
yeah, she requested an email when the check was cut so she could process the work order?
Okay.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Okay, on the new business, I wanted to introduce Travis, but now he's been introduced, so we know who he is. And also Mr. Paul Reiner for the wastewater treatment plant, part-time. Now, police hire. Over the past couple of months, actually, even a little more than that, we have discussed with Chief the problem that he seems to come up to not be able to find part-timers. Part-timers come and go, and we have problems filling the positions and filling the hours. At the end of the day, we fill all this time when we can find a part-timer, because part-timers usually have to at least another job. He has to pay overtime, so we cover all the shifts the way we're supposed to. Not only that, there are some new laws that are going to be in effect with the beginning of the year that's going to require more police hours. And for that reason, I thought it would be a good discussion for us and you to hire a new full-time police officer for the village.
Brad, can you explain the laws that the mayor is speaking of, please?
Yes, I think a lot of everyone's time because I know it gets hot in here. But just so that everyone has a good understanding, when I first got here, we had 16 full-time officers, including myself, and 6 part-time officers. Over the years, the board reduced the size of the police department to 14 full-time officers, including myself, and 6 part-time officers. As you can imagine, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 14 people is not a lot of people to fill a shift, and I will not put less than 2 uniformed officers on the road at one time. You cannot rely on neighboring agencies to be your backup to the degree where you would send 1 officer to a domestic or something of that nature. So the minimum is 2 officers on the road at all times. So that creates challenges. The 6 part-time officers were what we were using to help us over the hurdles of those challenges. Unfortunately, there are very few candidates going to the academy right now. Actually, the last 2 to 3 years. We are one of the lowest paying agencies for our part-time officers, even though I've argued to get raises, and you guys were kind enough to give a raise this last year. We're still among, if not the lowest, in paying our part-time police officers. In addition to that, the Sheriff's Department has actually increased the number of part-time officers they're utilizing. And they're utilizing part-time officers for court security, prisoner transports, and contract work with other jurisdictions that they have contracts in, like Ripley, Bemis Point, things of that nature. Individuals prefer to work there because the opportunity for full-time employment presents itself more frequently in the larger agencies, and they want their name recognition and they want to have a resume built with those 8 organizations. So what happens is they put up not available on my calendar and if they have any opportunity to work for the other agency, which has greatly impacted our ability to fill our schedule, especially on the weekends where we try and bolster and get obviously well above 2 uniformed officers on the road when college is in session. So that's been a real challenge for us, and it's resulted in a significant amount of overtime to get officers out onto the road to make sure that we have safety in numbers there. To give you an example, the city of Dunkirk, which serves almost the same population as the village of Fredonia, has 34 uniformed officers. We have 14. If that puts it into perspective at all. It's a significantly tough job to schedule for that and get the coverage on the road. So what I want to fill you in on are the law changes. First of all, was central arraignment. which went into effect already, which requires a public defender to be present at all arraignments for defendants. The Public Defender's Office has simply told small courts that they're just not going to provide public defenders on an as-needed basis, and that you'll have to come up with a solution to that plan. The solution to that plan was all arraignments go to Mayville now. So any misdemeanor or felony arrest results in a transport from here to Mayville of a prisoner. That's a little over an hour round trip for us. That we can't take a guy off the road to do that and leave one guy here. That frequently results in a call-in if we're short on people, so that's an overtime run. In addition to that, we've had raised the age. 2 years ago, if you were 16 and you got arrested, you were treated as an adult. That became 17 this past year, and it is now going to be 18 in middle of October of this current year. What that means is you actually have to go to a special court. For any misdemeanor or felony, you're not even allowed to come into this courtroom. You're not allowed to be in sight or sound of adult prisoners. One of the reasons we had to build the interview room and get certification from the state that we can interview juveniles and hold juveniles in that room. That's created additional hardships on us as far as trying to keep people in the room to watch those individuals. As you can imagine, this is a college town. We actually have a fair number of college students who aren't 18 yet, who fall under that umbrella. And they're not allowed, so if they even get arrested with their friend who is 18, we have to bring them in a different door, and it's a very, very complicated situation for us right now. What's coming that hasn't gotten here yet is the big one is the 15 days for discovery. What will happen is every arrest that's made starting in January, as soon as the individual is arraigned, the people have 15 days for discovery. We have to turn over everything we have. They've included in this bill, this law, all transcripts of our videos from inside our jail, all of our body camera footage, all recordings of phone calls, all recordings of radio transmissions, all MDT transmissions typed into the computer. That all falls back on us to produce and get ready for the people. If that's not produced within 15 days, the case is dismissed. So that's creating a lot of work in the near future for us. But that is just the tip. Really, the issue here is that we are far busier than we were when we had 16 officers. The reduction from 16 to 14 first resulted in us no longer participating in the drug task force, which I don't think has been a positive thing for this village. Then we cut another officer, which actually we lost our 8 at night till 4 in the morning shift. We have a significant number of domestics, shoplifting. When you have drug issues in your community, we had a rash of 8 burglaries over the weekend in the residential areas. I did a press release on it, I shared it with you guys today. Those things are all a direct result of drugs. Those people are stealing laptops and Xboxes because they're supporting a drug habit. And this is a significant issue that we need to address and we have to stop ignoring. So I'm just bringing forth my concerns and making you aware of the issues that we're facing.
One thought, I'm not saying it's a solution to replace a full-time, but as far as part-time pay, if we increased it to be comparable to these other agencies, would that help out as far as your part-time? I don't know what they're paying, but...
I think the problem is they see opportunities for full-time employment in those other agencies.
So that's where they're gonna
Jamestown,
go.
everybody's retiring and they're hiring full-time.
Yep.
The Sheriff's Department, everybody's
Same thing.
hiring and they're hiring full-time. They want that exposure in those agencies.
Mhm.
So right now I have 6 people. I'll be very, very candid with you. I'm not thrilled with those 6 people, but they're warm bodies in blue suits right now. And I don't have qualified people to hire. There are not qualified people right now to hire. And this class is one of the smallest, the current class is one of the smallest classes yet. And I suspect that those individuals are gonna come out, and if they're hireable with their scores, there won't be anybody for me to hire.
But there is one that you have in mind that can be hired,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
You're looking at one additional full-time officer include, or plus the 6 part-time. You're not gonna reduce the 6 part-time?
No, I wouldn't reduce, I wouldn't reduce the 6 part-time, but don't think of, that's a pool of money, hours. Think of it as a pool of hours that I draw from. Some weeks those part-timers get 4 hours.
Right.
Some weeks they get 20 hours, depending on the needs of the village. So the number of hours that I'll need those part-timers will reduce.
Oh,
So, but I want to have
I
6
see.
because they keep telling me they're not available to work
well,
for me.
that actually answered my
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Was the 2-man out on the street a law, or is that just your policy?
No, that's my policy that if I confused you, that doesn't mean 2 guys in a car. What
No,
that
I know,
means is-
2 different patrol,
Yeah,
and somebody at the desk.
and someone at the desk. But we use the person at the desk, that dispatcher, you could almost call him data entry if you wanted to. That dispatcher is my jailer, does my half-hour jail checks, does all my walk-in complaints, answers all the phone calls, and does all the data entry. There are no civilians working downstairs that do data entry. The dispatchers enter every report, every traffic accident, every parking ticket, every V&T. The dispatchers do that work. And then they do the reporting to the state for our IBR reporting that the state requires. The FBI follows the index crimes and all that. That's stuff that the dispatchers do in addition to dispatch.
So the cost of this can be dealt with in a number of different ways, like you just stated with,
Some of the costs would be a reduction in overtime.
right. And I believe we had budgeted for an SRO in our budget, or was that not in
No,
there?
it was
No.
taken off.
That was taken off.
No, we took it
'Cause I
off.
know that I know that they ended up hiring somebody up there of their own. I couldn't remember if we had it in there. this
Not a
year.
police officer, yeah. So retired, right.
So then, in order to fund this, then,
I thought we should have had one in the budget. I stated that I thought we should have
I
a
put one in the
full-timer
budget and then it was taken off, so that's where we are.
The positions were taken off, Karen, because we had to meet our
I understand that.
policy for
I get
that,
that.
so we had no choice.
Right, but I think, yeah.
I understand the need, and I do think it's a good idea. I would like, if we can figure out how to fund it.
Grant money?
I'm looking at the treasurer, who else can tell us if we can fund it?
What do you want to know?
Well, I guess we need to know what is the overtime? How much overtime are we spending right now? And then can that make up the difference?
It's not gonna be the whole overtime. It won't be. It'll be part of it, but it won't be. I mean, don't expect that the overtime is gonna go
I don't
down
know
to 0.
how much of a hurry you're in to do this, but if you give me a week or so, I can run some numbers.
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, it's not for
Give you some
today, but-
suggestions on
Yes.
what the impact would be on the budget. And, we're gonna get pretty close to maybe we need to have a meeting to kind of, at this time of the year, we're gonna be talking about setting up reserve funds.
Absolutely.
We should have a couple of meetings to start doing some planning, and including in that could be some of the changes that we're perceiving are gonna take place in our budget, so that, we're all on the same page pretty much, and, I mean, you have a lot of money, okay? I mean, it's not that you can't afford
It's a
it.
lot.
It doesn't
We
mean
have
that
some
you
money,
should.
but there's
We're
gotta
gonna
be
have
some
other things coming up,
justification
too.
also.
So they have
And you
specific,
wanna know what the impact is gonna be, because this doesn't just affect this budget, it's gonna affect future budgets.
Right.
Every budget.
So,
Chief, one officer, is that gonna be a Band-Aid on the situation? I mean, you're asking for one officer, and you're telling me that, this is
We
quite
could
a
use- certainly we could use
significant
2.
amount of problem.
Well, I really appreciate that question. Thank you. Obviously, I would, in a perfect world, like to be back to my 16 officers that I had when I started. I didn't come in this room that naive. I would like to be realistic. I'd like to ask for one. I'd like to see over a course of time how that impacts our overtime. I suspect, in the interest of full disclosure, everyone should realize that when you hire, first of all, Sam used to like to say that's $1 million investment, because it's you know, you're gonna pay that guy every year for 20 years. But in addition to that, that individual is a full-time officer who is going to get his vacation time and his time off. But, you know, what I would do is I would be bringing back that 8 to 4 a.m. shift that would bolster our road patrol in those evenings when we're getting a lot of these burglaries and larcenies occurring. The people who are stealing from Walmart are doing it on the midnight shift, and they're running away before our guys can get there at night. The burglaries are happening when everybody is downtown. And I would caution the public that will transition into daytime burglaries. They're having a great deal of success right now, burglarizing the apartments while the college students are downtown. Well, that success will transfer into daytime success. So I would encourage everyone to lock your doors and you know, use precautionary measures until we get this resolved. But thank you for the question. But I'd be
Thank you
thrilled
for
to
the
have one
answer.
right now.
Thank you.
Clearly, there was a reason why we had those two other offices years ago, and they reduced the staffing in order to save money. And what it has affected is the quality of life. And a matter of fact, it didn't necessarily save us any money at the time. So I think we should definitely look into this. I think it's needed.
But if we start with,
And we could,
yeah, we start with the treasurer.
right, we'll start with treasurer, and it may not affect our budget as all that bad, so.
Okay, so
Thank
let's
you.
just continue next time.
Okay. You suggested meetings just specifically to discuss earmark reserve funds for specific reserve projects and ideas.
Right.
So what time period would you need to have some figures figured out as far as that question there, that we could, schedule a special meeting?
Well, don't misunderstand me, I'm not suggesting that we set up a reserve fund,
No, not,
For-
no,
for-
not for, no, but
But-
for, to get
but
your,
to do an overall picture, it's gonna probably take a month from start to finish, because you've got to have another meeting amongst yourselves to decide where you want to earmark your reserve funds, number one. You have to decide some basic questions about maybe how much of the fund balance do you want to set aside for reserves? We don't want to go to the other extreme and put too much money in reserves, and then it's,
Right,
when
then
we
you
have
can't be
things like
using
this come up, we don't have the operating backup funds available.
Aren't reserve funds supposed to be used for capital improvement projects? I mean, that's the idea of the reserve fund, is a capital improvement project.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Reserve
hear you.
funds for capital improvement projects, that's what a
Well,
reserve fund is really
There are
meant to
other
do.
types of reserve funds that can be considered, but at this point, I'm not suggesting that we just take one step at a time. But I also would like some time, I'm gonna be giving you an up-to-date budget report in the next week or so, and then I'll have a chance to maybe sit down with Brad and look at some estimates in terms of overtime and how we can revamp his budget a little bit to make room for this person, for this officer.
And also, based on the discussion we had with Jeff Smith, we discussed a little bit reserve funds. So
Yeah.
after that, we can meet to see. You have some proposals. We discussed a few with the board so they can decide exactly where they want to have the reserve funds.
so do you think maybe towards the end of October might
Yeah, I
be
would
sufficient?
say, yeah.
Okay,
Is that all right?
yes,
I
I'd
mean, I
like
can
to.
move quicker, but I mean,
No, that's fine, thanks, Jim.
I'd
That would
rather
be
have more time and be cautious and do it right.
You've
That
been
would
very
be-
busy, so let's finish this round
Yeah.
and we go forward. Okay.
Is that sufficient or not? End of October for a special meeting sometime? That
Well,
might
we
work.
have 2 meetings coming up in October, so certainly we could consider the last meeting that we have in October as a kind of
Earmarked for that.
earmark that.
Right. Very good. Anything else? Right, public portion.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand and state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes if speaking for themselves, or 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board.
Mr. Doyle.
Sam Drayo, village resident. At the last meeting, trustee Barris presented a statement that said, on August 21st, there was a meeting with the village's independent auditors, an hour-long meeting. Who were the auditors, Mr. Barris?
Finish your comment and he can answer.
I'm asking them.
That's the whole of your comment?
No, I have another question after that.
Okay, can you put, like, because then it becomes a discussion and it's not part of the meeting. Public portion is for you to say 10 things, whatever things you want to say. He can answer right
Well,
now.
I'd like an answer to that question.
He will
Who were
let
the
you answer.
auditors? I'm talking to trustee Barris.
I understand, but I'm running the meeting.
Yeah, and I'm asking a question. This is the public portion.
The public portion is, as you know very well, is a public portion for you to express something or to ask a question. He will answer when he gives his report. What is the problem with
I
that?
asked the question, who were the auditors at the August 21st meeting? It's a simple question.
He will answer, Mr. Drayo. He has no reason not to answer. Just ask all the questions.
I've asked a question. I think I deserve an answer to a simple
Of course you
question.
deserve an answer, and you will get it.
When?
When you finish all the questions.
All right, the second
Because
question
the
has,
problem
I'll give you
is
the
this.
second part.
And the problem is this, if we start discussing, then everybody has the same right. We will be here for the next 3 hours.
Mayor, in all due respect, I'm not discussing, I'm asking a question. And the question is, who were the auditors that
He's going to
attended the
answer
meeting?
you. Trustee Barnes, please answer.
Yes. The auditors were from Johnson, McCoick and Associates. The certified public accountant was Denise D. Velosky. The manager was Scott B. Dill.
Okay.
Okay, now, the second question, it's not a discussion, it's a question which, as a resident, I have a right to ask. Why wasn't the press and the public given notice of this meeting?
It was not a meeting.
It says, according to Mr.
The
Barris,
meeting, you
there
know
was a
very-
meeting at the mayor's office on August 21st.
The meeting has to be more than 3 trustees. They would not. It was only trustee Barris. There was no reason whatsoever of calling the press. Every discussion that happens in my office, should I have the press there? According to whom?
Was there just one trustee
One
present at
trustee.
that meeting?
That's it.
Uh-huh.
It's not a meeting.
Yeah, okay. But shouldn't the disclosure of the report of the auditors be made public?
The report of the audit will be made public when the audit is ready. He had some specific questions, and he asked those questions. Nothing else.
Well, he said there was a meeting, so I'm asking a question about the meeting.
How else you call, if you come to my office and we close the door, that's a meeting? How else you want to describe that?
Okay. This,
Discussion, okay, I'm sorry, trustee Barnes misstated, it was a discussion.
will the results of that discussion be made public?
Of course it's a discussion.
You just said there's no.
So anyways, the second question I have, first of all, I think that audit report ought to be made public. It's a public document that concerns village finances. Public ought to be able to see that document. The second question I have is that reported in the newspaper that you said that there was almost $300,000 undercharged to the village. You stated, according to the press, that this was not a clerical error, according to the auditors. It was a deliberate act. Did the auditors claim that this was a deliberate act?
I will answer, Mr. Sam. I will answer at the end.
The auditor said
I
that.
will answer.
From Johnson and McCoyak, said affirmatively, yes. You're saying yes. They said that. Okay, just wanted to know.
Thank you.
It just shocks me that any
Anything else?
auditor would describe a motive.
I didn't say that. The auditors said. You're not asking my opinion on that.
In the paper, you quoted that the auditor said it was a deliberate act.
Okay,
I don't know if any auditors would ever say
I will
that.
answer on my report, Mr. Dreyer. This is a discussion now. Do you have anything else?
No, this is a serious
Thank
charge,
you.
and I
Okay,
wanted
of course
to
it's
ask
a
about
serious
it.
thing. Absolutely it's serious. I've taken it very seriously. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, anybody else? I close the public portion. All right, to start with that. The results of the public audit will be available to the public. And actually, last year was the first year after almost 10 years, even more than that, that the audit became public. Before that, we never accepted, this board never accepted an audit, never passed a resolution to accept an audit. This last year was the first year to do that. As for the $300,000, I'm repeating what they said. It was an undercharge to the college over 2 years of almost $300,000. I asked the question as I followed. Do you think that was a deliberate act or a clerical error? They said it was deliberate. They said he knew what he was doing. I'm not an auditor. I have no idea what's going on. I take the word of an auditor at its value. Same thing, I'm a doctor. If you are a radiologist, you read the x-ray, I believe what you say.
Hard to believe an auditor would describe a motive to a mistake.
There is not a motive.
When you say deliberate.
He's out of order.
It was not a,
You having a discussion again?
well, there's no reason to do that. I'm repeating something, you try to accuse me of something. All right? I did not do that. I did not say that. I'm repeating what the auditor said to me. We know where the money came from. Clerical error means that you don't add up things. We know where it came from. Both years, it came from the same amount. Maybe he forgot both years to charge them. I have no idea what the motives are. I know that they were there. Don't try to accuse me of anything.
Forgetting is not deliberate.
$300,000 over 2 years, it's a big amount to forget.
You're ascribing a motive to a mistake.
Okay, still $300,000, taxpayers' money. Taxpayers' money. As I said, this is not my audit. I did not audit anybody. I have no ability to audit anybody. In any case, let's say some better things about that. First of all, I visited the new boardwalk in Dunkirk, and I have to say that they did an excellent job. I have to congratulate them. The area looks better because of that. Number two, last week we had a meeting with no trustees there, but with the architects and the owner of the old card seat building, Mr. Ted Sharon. The plans, I have to say, look very, very good, very wonderful, although we had some trouble getting there. We were waiting for a long time, but they look very good. Ted has done an amazing job. Right after he invited Travis and I to go and actually see the building, when it's done, I have to say, this is going to be something that nothing like that exists in the area right now. Actually, I have invited Mr. Sharon for the next meeting to come and give the board and the village a report. And he has extended an invitation to the entire board to go and visit the building and see his vision. And I would highly recommend that. Now, over the weekend there was some talk again about the Fenner House. And the Fanner House is a lovely old building that I, from the very beginning, I said that I would not be happy to see it gone. I have no more information than what I got from the college, that they cannot afford to, to fix it, that they cannot sell it unless they fix it, that I cannot give it away unless they fix it. In any case, I have to say that I am against that demolition. It's not our jurisdiction, but I do not support that. However, it got me thinking, because this past weekend and this past week, there are quite a few things in my mind. As hard as it is to imagine the village of Fredonia without the Fanner House, I think we can survive something like that. Try to imagine the area without a hospital. That's the main problem. I don't see any movement with the hospital. I talked to the state. I called the state. The last person I talked to assured me that the $70 million are still there. Also, they assured me that they're not ready to spend it yet. And this is my problem from the very beginning. When I started asking people to not look at the tree, but look at the forest, how not having a hospital will impact this area. I'm asking everybody to think about it. If you were a parent, would you ever send your kid to SUNY Fredonia, knowing that the closest hospital is either 45 miles north or 45 miles south? If you were a new employee at Athenex, $200 million state investment, you're a new employee there with a young family, would you ever consider moving to a town, to a village, to a city that has no hospital, and the closest place, again, is 45 miles either north or south? I very much worry about that. I know that everybody is assuring me that it's just paperwork, but I need a little more than that. I need a little more assurance than that. I'm asking, actually, any official that is high up to push as much as they can, ask as much as they can, because all this money, we got $7 million. The city of Dunkirk, I understand, got more than that, probably around $12 or $14 million. All this is going to go to waste. No one will come here because we have nice facades. They will come and visit, and then they will go. As I said, I think it's going to be detrimental for our area. And I'm only saying that because I don't like games played behind the people's backs. I don't like the uncertainty that is going on right now. I don't think the people deserve it. And they deserve a little more transparency. So again, I'm, as a physician, I'm very, very troubled about this. And as the mayor of the village, I'm horrified. So this is my report for today. Trustee Christina.
I have a couple different things. I think that the Fanner House is kind of it's just one example of what's going on in the community, and I think we really need to rally and we need to get everybody to work together to try to keep what we have at the minimum, because if we don't have what we currently have, well, we really have nothing. So I made several contacts, or I tried to make some contact with several people regarding the Fanner House. The first person I emailed was Dr. Hefner, and he did respond to me. I spoke with him. And so he told me that about 18 months ago is when the house really started to deteriorate badly. It's the inner structure of the house that is deteriorated, and they think that it's a result of a fire at one time. and the house was probably not structurally fixed the way it needed to be at the time. This is, I don't even remember when this was. Does anybody remember? Sam, Jim, when there was a fire? Do you remember when there was a fire?
Well, I do remember when there was a massive fire.
So, like,
But
I don't know when
I
it
don't
was.
remember the date was.
Yeah.
And it, I mean, it literally gutted the entire
Yeah.
building, took the roof off and everything.
So that was the essential problem. I mean, it had been remediated, but probably not the way it should have been. The estimate to fix it is between 1.5 and 1.2 million. He said it's probably closer to 1.2 million. He did meet with the Preservation Society, and the problem, as the mayor stated, is that state property cannot be either gifted or given or sold for $1 if it's in unsafe condition. And the state will not fund the renovation, so that's the problem. So I contacted some people. I contacted Travis. I contacted Nate to see if they had some connections or if there was some grant money or anybody they could contact or anything that they could do. I think they were trying to see if there were some avenues for that. I also contacted Andy Goodell and Tom Reed, and I did not hear anything from either of them. So, you know, at this point, I don't know what we can do, but I hope we can do something. I don't know what to do. But I did try to contact some people, and I talked to a few people. So where that goes from here, I'm not really sure. We also had some interesting conversations about the White Inn, and it's kind of similar, except it's in better structural shape, but there's not really a lot of money needs to be put into it before another entity can maybe take it over. So that's in conversations. We'll see where that goes. Hopefully that will have a better fate, I think, than the Fenner House is going to have. I also would like to thank the guys in the DPW for, Jen was concerned about security and safety in her office because it was kind of wide open and anybody could just come in. And she had some kind of scary encounters. So the guys made like a safety door for her so she's more secure in there. She sent a picture of it to me, so I'm happy for her and I want to thank the guys for doing that.
Very serious situation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Trustee Linden.
Thank you, Tony, for protecting our employees. I have no other.
I might add, if I may, that it was incredible response to the police department. Four officers were there within literally 3 minutes.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was great.
Appreciate that.
It was
Yes.
very,
It was-
very well received and appreciated.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you. Trustee Essek.
Yes, I have 3 things, if I could. On September 16th, I attended a complete count committee meeting for the 2020 census. And it was hosted by Adam Dulce. He's the executive director of the United Way of Northern Chautauqua County, and it was at the Laguitas BOCES. They gave us an overview of the census, what it means. It started in actually 1790. It's part of our Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, and it mandates it. We went over, it's confidential. There's new technology for building lists now. Many uses of the census, I didn't realize, was distribution of more than $675 billion in federal funds, redistricting of state legislative districts, so our districts could change based on our population, so that's a very serious issue, because if you want to get properly represented, you have to have the proper count. Forecasting for transportation needs, housing assistance, emergency response, facilities for disabled. The importance of the complete count committee. It's a volunteer committee established to increase the awareness of and motivate our residents to respond to the 2020 census. It's very important. The Village of Fredonia has a hot spot. It's the college of how they determine whether they should be counted here as residents. And the city of Dunkirk too, with a lot of influx of people from Puerto Rico. That was another area. So our areas are very hot areas to get complete counts of the census. And we probably should be working collaboratively together. There's another meeting that'll be scheduled. I was asked to come to this one by Adam Dulce, but when the new meeting is scheduled, if anybody would like to be part of that, I will let you know. Or let me know, and I will let you know when that meeting is.
Yeah, if you could send an email out.
Yep,
Just
I
to
will
let
do
us
that.
know, that'd be great.
September 19th, I attended a North County Water District meeting, also with trustee Britz. The district requested a copy of our contract with the agreement between the Fredonia and Dunkirk for emergency water supply. I don't know if that's something that's, it should be able to be given to them, I would assume, without any problem. Also, at our September 9th meeting, Board of Trustees meeting, the board discussed hiring an engineer to review the North County Water District and emergency connections at the east and west ends of the Pomfret water line on Route 20. At this meeting of the Water District, City of Dunkirk DPW Supervisor Randy Woodbury stated that he had already previously spoke to this engineer already on it. The engineer had contacted him. I'm just wondering, there was a proposal that was dated September 20th, the day after the North County Water District meeting, and we just have this resolution tonight to hire this person. So, you know, I hope that we're not paying them already to.
If there was discussion between them, it was an informal discussion.
Okay, so
There
he
was
wasn't hired already?
Nothing
Okay,
to
I
do
was
with
just
us,
wondering.
no.
And have you thought about arranging a meeting for them to come in here after probably our engineer gives us the results?
Definitely,
Okay.
if the board decides that, you know, after he reviews the plan, definitely they have to come here and discuss it, yeah.
All right. This last weekend on September 20th to 21st, Friday and Saturday, I attended SUNY Fredonia's Rockefeller Arts Center's 50th anniversary dinner and pops concert. And they featured 15 alumni performers. They were awesome. We really don't realize the talent that gets pumped out of our university, both nationwide and worldwide. They're very talented students that have talented and very successful careers. So I appreciate going to that, and it was a very enjoyable event. I'm done. Thank you.
Trustee Briggs?
The only thing I have to report tonight is that lately our agendas have been received late on a Friday afternoon, and it's hard for me to properly do my due diligence in researching some of the issues and some of the agendas and some of the resolutions that are brought before me. It's very difficult for me to perform my job with only 8 to 9 hours of actual work before an agenda is brought before me. So I'd ask the board that we try to see what the issue is that we're not receiving our agendas on Wednesday like we passed a resolution before this. And if we can try to find a little bit more time so we could do some more due diligence in researching some of these issues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Barris?
I have no comment.
Great, let's go for no reports.
The Code Enforcement Month-End Report for August 2019. Building permits issued 27, inspections 20, certificates of occupancy 5, certificates of compliance 6, violations found 13, violations satisfied 10. Permit fees collected $4,520, rental fees collected $2,725, certificate of compliance fees $1,000, food truck permits $900, for a total of $9,145. Rental inspections 33 and rental renewals 22. Junk car property maintenance, found 4 junk cars, 19 property maintenance inspections, removed 12 property maintenance and 4 junk cars. Annual and fire inspections 10, appearance tickets 2, complaints received 6, and complaints satisfied 5. That's it for the Code Enforcement Month-End Report. That's it for reports, actually.
Thank you. A letter of resignation was received from Betty Sly, resigning her position effective September the 30th, 2019.
Be it resolved that the resignation of Betsy Sly, Acting Chief Operator of the Wastewater Treatment Plant, is hereby accepted effective September 30th, 2019, and the mayor is hereby authorized to write a letter to Ms. Sly thanking her for her service to the village of Fredonia.
I'll second the resolution, and I'd like to add that Betsy Sly was hired by my father, trustee, many years ago. And I'd like to congratulate Betsy on her retirement and thank her for her service. And I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Brits.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Correspondence was received from Amanda Shep on behalf of Festivals Fredonia Committee requesting permission to use West Barker Common, including the gazebo, and to bag the parking meters around the perimeter of Barker Common for the Harvest Moon Cemetery Tour event on Friday and Saturday, October 18th and 19th, 2019, from 6 p.m. until midnight.
Be it resolved that permission is hereby granted to Festivals Fredonia Committee for the use of West Barker Common, including the gazebo, for the Harvest Moon Cemetery Tour event October 18th and 19th, 2019, at 6 p.m. until midnight. And be it further resolved that the Police Department bag parking meters around the perimeter of the West Barker Common and across the Main Street side of the East Barker Common for pickup and unloading of passengers for the horse-drawn trolley cemetery tour. And be it further resolved that Festivals Fredonia has permission to decorate the gazebo for Halloween season by putting up lights and decorations from Saturday, October 12th through Saturday, November 2nd, 2019. This approval is also subject to receipt of certificate of insurance in the amount of $1 million, naming the Village of Fredonia as additionally insured, which the village has received.
I second that motion.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Brits.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Let's go to resolutions.
Whereas personnel record-keeping requirements have substantially increased over the years. And whereas personnel record-keeping has been handled on an ad hoc basis, with the majority of these duties being performed by the payroll clerk. And whereas the standardization of reporting and record-keeping is vital to the smooth operation of the village as an employer. Therefore, be it resolved, the village hereby adopts the title of Civil Service Title of Personnel Relations Assistant in the Village of Fredonia.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Brits.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Whereas personnel record-keeping requirements have substantially increased over the years, and whereas personnel record-keeping has been handled on an ad hoc basis, with the majority of these duties being performed by the payroll clerk, whereas Michelle Quijava, as payroll clerk, has been performing the majority of the duties of this new position for several years, therefore be it resolved that Michelle Quijava is hereby appointed to the newly created position of
Provisionally.
provisionally appointed to the newly created position of Personnel Relations Assistant at a salary of $43,175.90, with all contractual benefits subject to the applicable civil service rules and regulations, including the minimum 8-week term of probation.
I second that.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
No.
Trustee Brits.
No.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Be it resolved that the resolution of the Board of Trustees passed on September 9th, 2019, approving the proposal from Lakeland Concrete Products for the precast culverts for Porter Avenue emergency wall repair in the amount of $13,578 is hereby rescinded. And be it further resolved that the proposal from Binghamton Precast dated August 15th, 19, for the precast box culverts for the Porter Avenue Emergency Wall Repair Project in the amount of $11,200 is hereby approved, and payment is to be made from the CHIPS Capital Fund.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Brits.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Be it resolved that the board hereby endorses the Feeding Fredonia Challenge to be held this year from October 7th through October 18th, 2019.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Brits.
Yes.
Trustee Essek, I'm sorry. Trustee
Yes.
Brits.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
I have a proclamation for that. Whereas hunger and poverty are issues of grave concern for each of us, and we are dedicated to the ideal that no one should go hungry. And whereas hunger affects an estimated 30 million people, including 12 million children in the United States, and whereas 40% of Fredonia's school children qualify for free or reduced lunch, and whereas the congregation of the Fredonia Presbyterian Church on Central Avenue seek to engage our citizens in the fight against hunger, and whereas the church is sponsoring the Feeding Fredonia Challenge, a week-long endeavor to collect 5,250 pounds food for the Fredonia Food Pantry, and whereas the challenge runs from October 7th through October 18th, 2019, and many businesses, offices, community organizations, as well as Fredonia Central School and Fredonia State University have already committed to work towards that goal. Now, therefore, I, Athanasia Landis, with the power vested in me as Mayor of the Village of Fredonia, do hereby officially proclaim Monday, October 7th through Friday, October 18th, 2019, as Feeding Fredonia Challenge in the Village of Fredonia, and request residents to support this worthwhile cause by collecting and donating food. Thank you for doing that.
Can I speak? Is it possible for a photograph of the trustees?
Can you wait until the end?
I can, okay.
Thank you.
Be it resolved that Sean Rayner of Dunkirk, New York is appointed as part-time chief operator at the wastewater treatment plant up to a maximum of 30 hours per week and on an as-needed basis by the village. A salary of $50,000 per year with no other benefits effective immediately.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Barnes?
Aye. Be it resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of the various village departments and bills approved by the Finance Committee and set forth in abstracts 516 and 517 are hereby approved and directed paid.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Barnes?
Aye.
Whereas the Village of Fredonia requires technical assistance to evaluate water infrastructure matters concerning the North County Water District, and whereas Greenman Peterson Incorporated has a working knowledge of current and proposed water distribution systems in northern Chautauqua County, and whereas Greenman Peterson Incorporated has offered to perform such services on behalf of the village, subject to the attached per diem rate schedule, therefore, be it resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to retain the services of Greenman Peterson Incorporated at a total cost not to exceed $5,000.
Second the resolution?
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Barnes?
Aye.
Whereas a proposal has been received from the accounting firm of Johnson, McCowayak and Associates, certified public accountants of Fredonia, New York, which sets forth accounting auditing services to be provided to the Village of Fredonia Justice Court for the 3-year ending May 31st, 2019. Whereas the cost to the village, is that right?
Excuse me, 1 year.
1 year.
For the year.
For 1 year ending?
The year.
For the year ending, May 31st, 2019? Okay. And whereas that's, okay, so the dates are right. Okay, and whereas the cost to the village is not to exceed $4,500, whereas the village desires to retain said accounting firm for a 1-year period, whereas the village reserves the right to terminate said proposal at any time the village deems it necessary to do so, and the accounting firm should be paid up to date of termination, and be it resolved that the said proposal is hereby approved, and the mayor is hereby authorized to sign an agreement incorporating said proposal.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Barnes?
Aye.
Can I have an adjournment?
I move that we adjourn.
Second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Barnes? You can stay for 15 minutes.